One, two, one, two. Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another Sarnetta TV House of Consciousness production. I'm sitting here with my brother Cedric Riley, my new barber. This is my new barber right here. And he is definitely a motivational speaker. And we're going to tap into the brain and see what he got to give us. So without any further ado, I bring to you my brother Cedric Riley.
What's going on, Sarnetta, man? I deeply appreciate the opportunity to just speak to the community and speak to the family. My entire point today is that we missing a point. You know what I mean? We spend so much time trying to figure out what's right, trying to get it right. And we listen to different people that discuss this concept of getting things right. You know what I mean? I have a daughter. I have 2 kids myself. And a lot of time I'm focused on what are they doing right. You know what I mean? And for my whole life, we was learning that the opposite of right was wrong, you know? But through the process of isolation and going through college, I realized that, you know, doing everything right doesn't lead you in a place that has a moral high ground and a moral high standing. Doing everything right leads you in back rooms where people strategize how they're gonna move society, and I disagree with the way that people want to move society. I believe that the way that we need to move as a people has a lot more to do with our imagination, has a lot more to do with the essence of the information that's in our blood. But the right thing to do in high places is based off of policies that have been in place and have been in place for hundreds of years. And in so many instances, those policies don't benefit you when you're not in the upper middle class or when you're not in the upper class. So often those policies actually put you in an inconvenience, you know, when you want to be understood because you've been isolated or marginalized by society. Me, myself, I'm very familiar with being marginalized and isolated by society. I grew up in a small area in Cleveland, Ohio, St. Clair neighborhood, same place Bone Thugs and Harmony is from. I grew out of that poverty-stricken environment where I had rich lessons from my grandmother, rich lessons from my mother, rich lessons from my aunties and uncles. But due to the dysfunction of our family, I ended up in foster care. That's when I really got familiar with isolation. I went through 6 different foster homes before I was adopted at the age of 15 years old. Me and my 5 brothers and sisters was all split up. And so each and every one of us has an understanding of what it means to be isolated and the mental and emotional impact of isolation and marginalization. So by the time I got to high school, I was determined to take all of the energy that resulted from everything I went through and be successful. You know, don't be no clown no more. Don't be out here fighting no more. Matter of fact, turn your whole temper off. If you're gonna succeed, you need to turn your whole temper off. You know what I mean? My mother died while I was in foster care. I never knew my father, and I realized when I was getting moved from home to home that in order for me to really survive, I was gonna have to stop being so egotistical in terms of throwing temper tantrums and going off on people. I had to become a lot less superficial. So I became this person who was just humble. You know what I mean? I became more interested in comedy, being the glue, making everybody laugh, understanding how people operate as opposed to clashing, because I was realizing that, you know, kids in school that say, I want to be a gangster, they was in jail for murder by the time they got to 9th grade. You know what I mean? Kids that was in school talking about, you know, I ain't trying to be here, they was in jail or in the streets homeless already by the time I was in the 9th grade. You know what I mean? It wasn't uncommon for me as a high school kid to see gang fights. You know, I had 17-year-olds in middle school with me. You know what I mean? And so I got to understand the complexities of what people go through who's not getting enough mental connections made. They're not getting enough emotional connections made. And so everything is just based off of what they see, and it's based off of everybody's personal temper tantrums. I had to turn my temper tantrum off, and it allowed me to observe. When I started observing, I went through a lot of things. I was attacked by a lot of people because I resisted the temptation to do ignorant things. You know what I mean? I resisted cutting class. I resisted rebelling the system. And I had a hope that, you know, if I was going to survive, I'm going to have to choose to be successful. You know, and that put me through a lot of things. But long story short, I ended up going to school at the Ohio State University, one of the largest colleges in the country. And I realized that, you know, for lack of a better phrase, this is near the top of the world as far as where I come from. You know, small town Cleveland, Ohio, I made it to the top. Now, what's really going on here, and what I saw going on, was a lot of people lollygagging as if life wasn't at stake. I saw a lot of people not taking their education seriously. I saw a lot of people skipping class just like I saw people doing in middle school, and I realized that higher education wasn't the equivalent of successful adulthood. I was so preoccupied with successful adulthood that I wanted I wanted to figure that out. You know what I mean? Why was I the only person that made it to Ohio State out of hundreds of people that I knew? You know what I mean? My younger brothers and sisters that was trying to gain the mental and emotional strength to even get to college, why they didn't make it to where I was at. I was more interested in how do I get more of my brothers and sisters to get to this level. So I started focusing on that, and I started going to different places and speaking, and my message was success is a choice. But by the time I got done talking about my accomplishments in this area, my accomplishments in that area, I was finding out that my people that was just like me was like, well, dang, man, I really can't relate to you because you went so far in life. I don't feel like I could ever get to that place. You got so many accomplishments. How can I relate to you? You in here outstanding me. You know what I mean? So I can't even relate to you. Yeah, I'm getting all F's, but I'm not about to turn that around into all A's and perfect attendance. You know, so that's good for you. But I wasn't going to speaking and get a pat on the back. You know, I started speaking because my brothers and sisters was going through something, and I wanted to speak up about that. So this social worker asked me one day, he said, okay, I hear you saying success is a choice, but what is success? Because my kids out here in New York, they don't see it like that. They don't see it like success is a choice. So what is success, and why is success a choice for others? That sent me on a 10-year journey of it. You're right. What is success? And why is success a choice for others? Because I'm walking around talking about success is a choice, and I have to figure out that using the word success is not the equivalent of success. Using the word success is not the equivalent of using success. So people walking around saying success, 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 but that's not success, and that's not teaching our people how to obtain success. So I became very interested in how to obtain success, and I realized that it wasn't necessarily putting yourself in a position of higher education, because so many of your brothers and sisters, they're not going to get to that place of higher education. They deserve success too, though. They deserve the happiness that comes from a sense of success as well. And so how do we get that for everybody? And so I realized, like, we're so focused on being right that we lose track of the left. You know what I mean? I had to play with that phonetics real quick. So what is the left? You know what I mean? And I came to realize that the left is you. You the one that's left. You the one that's getting left out. You the one that's in jail, left alone. You the one that's in foster care, left by yourself. These bums out here is the one that feel left out of society. You know what I mean? The kids that's not passing to the next grade, they the ones that feel left out. You know? So the way to become right is to understand the left. The left goes right. The left manifests the right. I came to understand that if I was going to make something real out of this little wordplay, that the left becomes right, I needed to take a deeper look at myself. And I started telling my friends that the left goes right, the left becomes the right, the left manifests the right. And I lost a lot of friends because they felt like I was talking crazy. They was preoccupied with their books, and I was trying to tell some of my family members, and they felt like I was crazy because I wasn't talking about common topics and common concepts of what we need to do as a people. Focus on the left. Bro, you working on the art of the impossible. Get out of here, man. We're not trying to hear that. But I kept thinking about it, and that now as I stand today, I understand that your heart is on your left, your brain is on your right, and your mind is the circuit between your heart and your brain. So eventually, the universe itself helped me to realize that the left really does speak to the right, which creates you. Because what we've been doing is we've been operating off of what we see and what the brain can do. Everybody interested in what the brain can do. What can you do with your brain? What can you do with your brain? And that puts our people under a lot of stress, because if you haven't been making mental connections your whole life, you think your brain can only do a minimal amount of things. So when you're sitting next to somebody and it appears as though their brain is more advanced than yours, that makes you feel insecure. And in our communities, it makes people feel violent. You know what I mean? So what I did was I had to look deeper into that, because I know people that's very smart, very intelligent, that's not making it into high places, and they feel insecure when they're standing next to somebody who everybody's calling smart. So what does it mean when you say knowledge is power? And it became very easy to understand with a little bit of research that the heart is sending that energy to your brain. The heart is what's sending those impulses to your brain for you to interpret. So it's not that all of this information is in your brain. It's that the information is being sent to your brain by your heart. You know what I mean? And we all about heart. We very familiar with the concept of having heart and operating from the heart. So if we could go ahead and listen to our hearts, and manifest according to our hearts, then everybody would be right. All you got to do is realize how to listen to your heart. I mean, that's the real issue, is that you so busy listening to your teachers, listening to this person and that person, and society itself, that you don't got no time to listen to your heart. I did some research on the heart, and I figured out that the heart sends terabytes of information through your brain. The heart sends terabytes of information through your brain. And if you could simply listen to your heart and say what's on your heart, you would appear to be a genius. If I'm standing here and I'm saying something that's not coming out of a book that I read by another man, or it's not something that another man said, and it's not something that the preacher said, and it's not something that a politician said, but it's something that my heart says, then what I'm sharing is original thought.
That's right.
Original thought. You know, and just that right there, T-H-O-T, this is a real individual, you know, of our past. Thought. And so a lot of this is wordplay, but original thought comes out of understanding how to listen to your heart. And so I began to realize that success is a choice when you know how to listen to your heart. Now, how do you listen to your heart? And that's why this is the art of being left. Because your heart is on the left. And if you listen to your heart, you'll become right. And if you become right, then you become post-secondary in thought. You become superlative in action. You can become a noble person because you're not under somebody else's auspices when you're doing what you consider to do the right thing. You're doing what your heart is telling you to do. Now, the heart gets this information through your blood. Everybody, a lot of us know that we are electric-based beings. Everything is based off energy, the amount of energy that you have and that you generate every day. We was generated. This is a generation. The energy that you have in your blood right now is going through your blood and is making your DNA transparent, and that transparency of your blood, because of the electricity that's in your veins, manifests itself as your thoughts. So inside of your veins, there's mirror-like structures. There's mirror-like structures inside of your veins, and when these mirrors reflect the electricity that's in your body, that beam of light goes through your blood, and that ray of light shines through a portion of your DNA, and that manifests as your thoughts, and it manifests as the things that you impulse. But what we do is we take that impulse and we act off of that impulse, and so that puts us out of line. For instance, you could be taking a test and you say, you know, how do I do this equation? You have a quick glimpse of exactly how to do that, but instead of following your heart, you will try to remember what the teacher said, and you will end up getting points off. Sometimes you'll get lucky, you get it right. But my point is that instead of when that red light go through your vein and you get that information from your heart, we don't listen to that because society tells us that you need to listen to everything and everybody outside of you. And because we don't listen to the information that the heart sends to the brain, we have all the problems that we have. All the problems that we have. And so it comes down to being able to listen to your heart, because your heart is busy pumping your blood, and your veins is busy conducting the electricity that's in your blood. Your veins is conducting this electricity, and this electricity is making your blood transparent, and the information that's in your blood, which is your DNA, is infinite. So it ain't no such thing as being dumb. It ain't no such thing as being unintelligent. It ain't no such thing as not knowing. It ain't no such thing as being ignorant. But see, if we out here focused on what's right all the time, and we don't get no clarity on what correlates to the right, then we can never catch up to the right. Because what's right is these guys down in the financial district that's working out these fractions and these equations to make money a digital item. So that's what's right. We ain't gonna catch up with that by living off food stamps and eating corn and sugar. We ain't never gonna catch up to the things that they learning. They kids learning yoga, and they kids learning how to listen to their heart. But our kids is somewhere sitting in a circle thinking about another lollipop right now. So to the extent that we teach our people how to listen to the heart, we'll start unveiling solutions to all of the problems that we have in life. So what I did when I started listening to my heart was I accepted the fact that I was going to be isolated from the people that was taking a traditional route. I accepted the fact that I was going to be marginalized a little bit in my family, because my family don't know nothing about listening to their heart. My family know a lot about listening to the expertise of the pastor, and listening to the expertise of the president, and listening to the expertise of the politicians, and cooperating in society itself. But very few people understand the art of listening to your heart. So I knew I was going to be marginalized a little bit. But when I started doing that, I started coming up with all types of original thoughts about how to start mapping a way to success for our people, man. Period. So what the universe allowed me to remain firm on is that success is a choice. Success is a choice. But I had to back it up a little bit. Because you're right, survival is first. Survival is first. You're not gonna survive in a fish tank acting like a goldfish when there's sharks in the water. So as a man, you're right. I can't walk around talking about my heart saying this and my heart saying right. That you're right about that. As a teacher, you can't be in a classroom talking about I'm crying with the kids, I'm crying for the kids. You're right about that. As a pastor, you can't be at church feeling sorry for the congregation. That's right. As a politician, you can't be out here feeling sorry for the people. That's right. You gotta be low key for a minute. But to what extent are you manifesting what's coming out of your left? The problem that you solving for the community. What's your original thought? So we need to be encouraged to share original thought. I asked my grandmother before she passed away, who taught me my original lesson in life, which was to iron your slacks and keep family first. She taught me every word to the wise I know. But before she passed away, I said, Grandma, I want you to write me a note. I want you to write me an original note that didn't come from somebody else that you want me to pass down to my child. She said, baby, what are you talking about? Thought to myself, yeah, Grandma, I know you're not really going to get this because you ain't been listening to your heart your whole life. You've been listening to society and trying to abide by that so that we can survive. I know. But I was persistent. I kept asking my grandmother, Grandma, provide me with an original note that I could take and pass down to my family. And she was unable to do that. So I started testing people that I see out here that got good hearts, that got good intentions. And I started asking them to produce original thoughts. And I found out that it started irritating people. It started irritating people. I started asking people, you know, no offense, but who are you? And once you get past your name, okay, but really, who are you? After your name, who are you? You know, tell me something that you didn't get out of a book. Tell me something that your parents that didn't tell you. Tell me something that your politician or your pastor didn't tell you. And instead of producing an original thought, they started getting irritated. So then I started to develop a certain mastery about this idea that we are a sea of original thought that we are not tapping into. We are not tapping into original thought. We are not tapping into original thought. And by the time we get done qualifying in the academic systems, we be so enamored with all of this information that you got to master in order to appear as a professional that we lose track of the way to listen to our original thought. So what I decided to do was take my attention away from the traditional ways of becoming successful and focus on listening to my original thoughts, which being transported through my bloodstream every second, every millisecond. The universe itself started allowing me to hear my original thoughts. And what I did with that was I started writing them down. Instead of reading books, I started writing books. Instead of reading statements, I started writing statements. Instead of looking for somebody to look like, I started looking like myself. Even though I ain't know my dad, I looked in the mirror and I realized which facial expression does my blood agree with. Instead of trying to walk like somebody else, I said, which walk does my blood agree with? Instead of saying something that somebody else said to me, I said, which response does your blood agree with? And in doing so, I became an original version of myself. When I became an original version of myself, not only do I have an entire system of writing original thought, but I'm extremely comfortable with myself. I'm confident with myself. I have the type of confidence that I want to see in my brothers and sisters. This confidence came from tapping into my original thoughts. I have a limitless stream of thoughts coming to me at all times. And when I started mastering this idea became real, to the point where my family members could come into my stream of consciousness and drop information. I could ask myself a question and I have original thought. My uncle would come through with some original thought. My grandmother would come through with some original thought. My auntie would come through with original thought. My uncle would come through with original thought. All in my imagination. I can go to sleep with a problem and I can wake up with a solution for that problem. So my whole family agrees with me internally that original thought is real. Original thought is like a bank of common sense that all of us have access to. So this don't have to be about race. It don't have to be about African American power. But we do need to respect black space. We do need to respect the cosmic space that we all have access to when we close our eyes. So close your eyes with me. If you focus when you close your eyes, you got a star in the middle of your head, which we call the pineal gland, which will start glowing because you believe in it. When that star start glowing, it's going to start sending real live light through your bloodstream, and the information that start coming out of your bloodstream is going to be original thought that God gave you. These is facts. I'm not here to debate. I don't go back and forth with nobody. Because too much original thought have come out of my blood. Too much original thought has come out of my bloodstream for me to debate whether or not this is real. So when we think about success and we think about helping our brothers and sisters, it's about turning people on. It's about turning people on. It's about turning people on. Because we walking around with that light turned off. We turn that light on, which is realizing that you conducting electricity. You are a conductor of electricity because you were generated. You're part of a generation, and you have a pulse that you conducting electricity. You hone in on that electricity. You're gonna become a stream of original consciousness. So therefore, God placed infinite streams of original consciousness on this planet, but because we walking around appreciating the sun and appreciating artificial light so much, we don't have no time to realize that we got a light inside. That we have a light inside. But isolation and marginalization teaches you that you have a light inside. Go to jail and ask them, brother, do they have a light inside? Find some of these kids out here that's isolated by themselves. They'll let you know I'm all alone, but I be making these pictures. I be writing these stories. I be creating this art. Isolation and marginalization will show you that you have a light inside. And we need to focus on that light. Break it down into the colors that you see. That red, that's not just red. That's the color of your blood. That's your heritage. And what you get out of understanding your heritage is that you got a stream of original thought that's shared by hundreds of people that's related to you. It don't stop with your name. That one original statement, your name, can become a book. A book that you can sell. So we could generate an income by sharing this stream of original thought that's inside of us. Success is a choice because we got original thought waiting to be unveiled from our DNA. Success is a choice because we have a light inside of us that contains information. That contains a limitless stream of information that's unveiled to us once we start believing in it. Once we start believing in ourselves. So, as opposed to believing in the world around you, you got to believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, your light will turn on. Your light will become a shield of protection around you. That light inside of you, once you start believing in it, because you got a light, because you conduct electricity. So let's not debate about whether or not people have a light, and let that not be a abstract concept, because your heart is pumping right now. This is an electrical situation. It's a powerful situation. We like the concepts of power. How many of us is at home watching Power tonight? You know, we love the concept of power. Somebody slam dunk that ball, we know that take power. Somebody tackle you on that field, we know that take power. When these tennis players are, we know that take power. You know, when you come in and you know how this skyscraper is gonna be manifested, and you don't need to look at your notes in that boardroom, that's power. These computers, these iPhones, that's power. These stars out here, we say they got star power. We need to realize that we got power, and that's the floor. That's the floor of life, is that we have power. Once you understand that you have power, now you can go to school. Once you realize that you have power, now you can relate to the people in your community. Once you realize that you have power, now you can see why the financial district is doing what they're doing, and why the Con Ed man is so important, and why money is circulating the way money is circulating, because they conducting power out there. But they not conducting something that you don't have. The floor is that you have power, and we need to embrace that and harness that. That's the floor. Once we understand that and accept that, I'm ready to continue into a whole curriculum with our people. But I deeply appreciate your time today, Sinetta, because for the last 7 years, I've been trying to figure out how to explain this, man. And the words didn't start making sense until about 3 years ago. And right now, I could potentially have an opportunity to start telling the world about how to start reading our power. You like a movie theater. A conscious man is like a movie theater, playing his own movies. A conscious woman is like a movie theater, playing her own movies. So let's be clear about this here. We have an opportunity to create a whole nother space on this world by embracing the space that God gave us. We shouldn't even be talking about God until we realize and respect what God gave us in the first place. God gave you space. Just close your eyes. You will see it. God gave you a star. Just close your eyes and focus on it. You will see it. God gave you information. Just focus on that star. That information will start coming out. God gave you power. Just start realizing that the information that God given you and use it around your environment. You will start seeing yourself work. You will start seeing yourself become effective. You will start seeing yourself grow and become an adult. The problem is our kids are staying kids even though they becoming teenagers because they not growing their star power. They not tapping into their power and growing their power. So you got people out here that's 30 years old that ain't grown. But see, back in the 60s, in the early 70s and the 50s, our people had it hard. They didn't get to go out here and work a regular job and be so-called appreciated. They had to be isolated and take their power that they got and be right to the next person. That's how you got respect. You got respect by being right. So it wasn't about this artificial structure that we got out of here. But today, we got so many artificial structures that we don't have to focus on our infrastructure. We impressed by these tall buildings instead of realizing that each and every one of us is a tall building. You a skyscraper. You a skyscraper. But you think you 5 feet tall. You a skyscraper. But you think you 4'9". You a skyscraper. But you think you 7 foot tall and you bigger than everybody. You a skyscraper. But you think you 7'5", so you the man. But you a skyscraper. You a skyscraper. That plaque on the door, that's your name. Open that door. What's on the first floor of that skyscraper? Because you a skyscraper. What's in these rooms? Is it rap? Is it comedy? Is it art? Is it drama? Is it poetry? Are you a teacher? Are you a creator? Are you an inventor? What's in these rooms? Discover what's in these rooms. Let the world know that you're a skyscraper. Put it on paper. Graph it out. Graph it out. You can put so much of yourself on paper, it'll become obvious that you're bigger than what you see. Start putting yourself down on paper. Start stacking that paper up. That paper be bigger than your fucking house. You have to figure out how to store this paper. You have so much paper. That's just the opening statement for me though, Sinetta, man. I really appreciate you this morning, man. I really do.
Well, my brother, I'm going to tell you, man, for the first time with me and you sitting down, that was definitely powerful. And the people, our people would definitely get something out of this. But now let me get this right. At the age of 15, you went into a shelter. You lost, hold on, you never met your father. You lost your mother at a young age. Brother, it was already set for you not to even make it this far. Let alone you pushed yourself and made it through college, brother. That right there alone should show the people that, yo, it can be done. You are a prime example of what you're not just talking the talk, you walking it. And the people can see that. So, brother, it was never even meant for you to make it this far, brother. What do you think about that?
I think that's true, son. It wasn't meant for me to make it this far, especially if I was going to feed into the negativity that was all around me. You know, and the negativity was pervasive, and the negativity was attractive. It was very attractive. But I had to realize that I was chasing the wrong negatives. Like how they develop film at Rite Aid. They used to develop film using the negatives. I was following the wrong negatives. Instead of following the images that was inside of me, I was following the images of my community. And if I would have continued to fall for that, I would probably be a drug dealer right now. I'll probably be somewhere fighting right now, or being a womanizer right now. You know what I mean? Or being locked up. I'll probably be locked up right now. You know what I mean? Or I might have just went all the way and I'll probably be a politician right now, just thinking everybody that's not successful is a bum. you know? But I had to start believing in my true negatives, man, which is the left. You got the negative and you got the positive, but your negative is the images that's inside of you. So you're right. It wasn't meant for me to succeed. By going through life the so-called hard way, I realized that there was information waiting for me, man. The images in my mind could become positive, and if I could act on them, like they say, chasing your dream, then you'll be successful, man. So I didn't give up. You know, when I lost my mom and when I was in foster care, my mom died. My mom wasn't found for 4 weeks. They didn't find my mom. You know, and to this day, I don't know how my mom left this earth. My father, I don't know who my father is. To this day, I don't know who my father is. You know, my brothers and sisters, we all got split up, put in different foster homes. You know, I haven't been with all 5 of my brothers and sisters since I was 9 years old. I'm 28 right now. Me and my 5 brothers and sisters haven't been in the same room, man, in 11 years. You know, plenty of times I could have gave up emotionally. When I got adopted at the age of 15, you know, and just the stress of being isolated from my family for that long could have made me give up, but I didn't give up. I said success is a choice, and then I had to stand by that. And now success is a choice has turned into a whole foundation for me to stand on. And I deeply appreciate the universe for manifesting me, helping me to grow up without a parent always right there to hold my hand. Even though I appreciate my adoptive mom for sure. For sure, Yolanda Riley, I appreciate her and I love her because she gave me an opportunity to see some hope. She gave me an opportunity to feel okay. You know what I mean? For a long time, she gave me an opportunity to feel okay. My first pair of new shoes, my first CD player, my second pair of new shoes. You know what I mean? My first time of life just not having to worry about nothing. She gave me that. She gave me that hope. So adoption is real as well. Adoption gave me an opportunity to come up out of that ignorance. Not that my biological family didn't love me, but Yolanda Riley gave me that opportunity to start believing in myself, man, because I had to focus so much on survival. But yeah, when I became 18, it was time for me to man up. And I could have gave up when it was time for me to man up. You know, I landed in the shelter when I was 21. I landed in the shelter after I left school. When I realized that following the yellow brick road wasn't going to result in me saving my people, I left school because getting A's in class don't equate to saving nobody's ass. So I want to do both. So I did end up in a homeless shelter for feeling like, yo, I wanna have a positive impact on the world, and I don't want to go to college road. A lot of my people didn't understand that, so they said you on your own with that one. I'm gonna have to leave you with that one. Hold that one.
So the experience you went through in life made you come to the decision that, yo, I got to go out here and do something for my people. I don't want to see my people going through the same thing I did. And if they did, this is how I got out of it. This is what worked for me. Talk more about that too.
100%, son. The things that I went through in life, they set me on fire, man. Set me on fire. I have a feeling of heat in my soul that haven't gone nowhere. In the past 16 years, that fire hasn't gone nowhere. And everything I went through just made that fire bigger and bigger and bigger. So the things I went through set me on fire, man. It made me extremely interested in coming up out of this situation and then showing my people the blueprint of how to get up out of this situation. Right now, I've written 11 articles that somebody could read starting from page 1. I've written a handbook that somebody could start. It's called a Success and Empowerment Handbook. I created a curriculum that somebody could use starting from page 1. You don't have to listen to me winging it about how success is a choice. I wrote down the actual system, and I want to share that with my people now. 100% the things I went through, they set me on fire, and I became particularly interested in showing my people that we can become successful, even if you start from the shelter, even if you don't got your parents with you, even if you separated from your brothers and sisters, you can overcome that mental frustration. People counting on us to suffer from cognitive dissonance. Society is counting on us to suffer from cognitive dissonance. But if we learn how to listen to our hearts, we can bypass cognitive dissonance. And I know it seems like I get kind of technical when I talk about how we can overcome our circumstance, but it's certain connections that we didn't make by just going from pre-K to 12th grade. It's certain terms that we didn't learn, like cognitive dissonance and how to overcome that. You know what I mean? Like how and why the heart speaks. We ain't never thought about the heart speaks. We ain't never thought about you yourself being the left. That's an abstract concept. I'm 100% interested in helping my people. My youngest brother, my baby brother, went to jail for 20 to 40 years 4 or 5 years ago. He ended up going to jail for murder because he was looking for brotherhood. And he didn't want to listen to me because that to him, that was too much like right. He was looking for brotherhood, real live brotherhood. And he didn't see it. He didn't see that as what was right there next to him. He saw that as what was out there in them streets. So when my brother went to jail for 20 to 40 years, I realized my consciousness is about to do 20 to 40 years. Even though I made decisions not to go to jail like that, my brother going to jail like that, it made me feel like, yo, I really got to deliver a solution to my people now because they going to jail. You know, they getting hemmed up and they dying out here. They getting hemmed up out here, man. And we don't deserve to keep going through this, man. We got perfectly good hearts and we need to tap into that, Si.
All right. Wow, powerful, brother. In closing, brother, you got the floor. In closing,
I just want to make it plain that, you know, it's a three-phase process in his life: survival, success, and greatness. Everybody got a life story. Everybody got a life story. You know what I mean? Everybody got to survive. But once you get to a level where you understand how to survive, you need to start realizing who you really are. And it starts by looking in the mirror. When you start realizing who you are, you can start succeeding. This dude asked me what success is. Success is evolving into greater forms of yourself. Going from the younger version of yourself to the more mature, wiser version of yourself. That's success. Success is not post-secondary. Success is graduating into higher forms of yourself. Once you start graduating into higher forms of yourself, you're responsible for showing other people how to do that in your own way. In your own way. Solve a small problem in your life. Solve that problem and call yourself an inventor once you solve that problem. Be about that. Stand on that. Stand for that. And then you start becoming great. Life is about survival and then success and then greatness. In closing, I called my great grandma one day and I was very concerned about her. I said, "Hey, great grandma, how you doing today?" She said, "I'm doing fine. How about you?" I said, "I'm doing all right, great grandma." She said, "Call me back when you're doing great." Thank you.
Oh, man. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you, man. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Peace and Black Power family. We definitely gonna see more of our brother right here coming back to the platform. I definitely appreciate his wisdom as a young brother. I appreciate this brother's wisdom. Peace. We out.